Audit quality used to rely on a mechanical end-of-pipe checklist. You executed the engagement, and at the very end, a partner verified the steps. But as valuation models grew more complex and data flows moved to real time, those rigid systems hit a breaking point. The response from global regulatory bodies is the System of Quality Management, or SoQM. This framework requires audit firms to stop looking backward to catch errors, and instead build a dynamic architecture designed to anticipate risk before the audit even begins. To understand how this works in practice, we have to look at it from two perspectives. At the top, you have the quality review partner, who is responsible for the systemic compliance of the entire firm. On the front lines, you have the audit manager, who executes specific engagements. These two roles experience the firm's policies very differently. The central challenge of SoQM is translation. The firm must take broad mandates regarding ethics and independence and convert them into functional, daily tools that the auditors in the trenches can use. Under the old model, catching a material misstatement during final partner review was considered a success. Under SoQM, relying on that final review indicates the system failed earlier. A successful architecture identifies the conditions that allow a misstatement to occur and engineers the environment to prevent them. This shift moves the definition of quality toward the presence of a resilient architecture that identifies risk factors before an engagement team even sets foot in a client's office. This architectural blueprint illustrates the components of an SoQM. The base is firm-level governance. This is the tone at the top. If firm leadership prioritizes revenue and rapid partner promotions over technical rigor, the entire structure is compromised from the start. Leadership's commitment to quality sets the parameters for the firm's risk assessment. A firm with strong governance will actively scan its environment for emerging threats, like shifts in regional tax legislation or the adoption of complex new accounting standards by their client base. Acknowledging a risk is useless without action. The system must drive resource allocation. The firm has to deploy human, technological, and intellectual capital to meet the specific risks they have identified. Look at what happens when this fails. Consider 3 specific resource allocation errors: relying on sampling software that cannot handle high-volume data, sending audit teams into the field with insufficient training on the newest IFRS 9 derivative standard, or staffing the revenue testing on a massive, complex client with junior associates. If these firm-level resources are inadequate, the specific engagement team is structurally prepared for failure before they hold their first client meeting. A frontline audit manager cannot outwork a flawed firm foundation. No matter how many hours the team puts in, engagement quality is limited by the quality of the firm-level SoQM. Imagine an audit manager discovers a major undetected misstatement in a complex client portfolio late in the audit process. It is a severe miss that compromises the audit opinion. The immediate question for the quality review partner is one of origin. Is this an isolated performance error by an inattentive engagement team, or is it a symptom of a flaw at the firm level? Look at this logic tree. To answer that question, the firm performs a root cause analysis. They trace the error backward through the SoQM layers. Did the manager fail to understand the standard, or did the firm fail to provide the required training resources? If the firm failed to provide the training, the root cause is systemic. The standards label this systemic flaw a deficiency. Finding a deficiency is an expected part of operating a complex system. It is the data point necessary for improvement. The value of finding the deficiency is the remediation feedback loop. The audit manager logs the specific friction point they experienced. The quality review partner aggregates that data and uses it to rewrite the firm's resource allocation policies, mandating new training protocols before the next audit cycle. A robust SoQM does not simply reprimand the auditor who made the mistake. It rewrites the firm's operational code to ensure the specific conditions that caused the mistake are eradicated from future engagements. For high-risk or publicly listed entities, the firm's baseline resources require a final safeguard: the Engagement Quality Reviewer, or EQR. An EQR is distinct from a standard second partner review. They are not there to audit the auditor's grammar. The EQR acts as a challenger, stress testing the engagement team's most significant judgments and conclusions before the audit report is signed. To perform this role effectively, the EQR relies on 2 pillars. The first is specialized industry competence. Consider a firm assigning a partner who specializes in manufacturing audits to act as the EQR for a multinational bank with heavy derivative exposure. The partner understands auditing, but lacks the specialized knowledge to effectively challenge the engagement team's valuation models. The firm-level SoQM is responsible for preventing this mismatch. The firm must maintain a roster of qualified EQRs and map their technical competencies to the unique risk profiles of its clients. Deploying an unqualified EQR creates an illusion of security. The firm believes a safety net exists, while the reviewer lacks the technical depth to identify a material failure. Technical competence is only half the equation. The second pillar required for the EQR is objectivity. They must be free from any pressure that could compromise their professional skepticism. This diagram maps the familiarity threat. An EQR cannot have recently served as the engagement partner for the client they are now reviewing. If they developed the client relationship and designed the original audit approach, they are predisposed to agree with past judgments. This SoQM enforces a mandatory cooling-off period to prevent this. There is also the intimidation threat. Imagine a scenario where the audit engagement partner is also the managing partner of the entire firm. The EQR is now tasked with challenging the work of their superior. The firm-level SoQM must structurally separate the EQR's compensation and performance evaluations from the partners they review. If the EQR fears retaliation during their annual review, their objectivity is compromised. If the audit manager and engagement partner refuse to adjust their findings on a critical risk, the EQR must have a path to escalate. They have the authority to halt the issuance of the audit report until the disagreement is resolved. Technical brilliance is ineffective if the EQR lacks the structural independence to survive a direct disagreement with firm leadership. When you view the entire framework, you see a holistic ecosystem. Firm governance sets the tone. Risk assessment directs the resource allocation. Root cause analysis repairs deficiencies, and the EQR provides a final check. These functions work in tandem. On screen, the top timeline shows the outdated model, a linear progression ending in a bottleneck of final partner review. The bottom track is the new reality. Audit execution progresses parallel to a cyclical wave of quality feedback and EQR interaction. In this modern architecture, the quality review partner and the audit manager are symbiotically linked. The manager relies on the firm's resources to succeed, and the firm relies on the manager's feedback to adopt its policies. For the ACCA AAA professional, the SoQM framework is about risk mitigation. It provides the firm with a structured method to defend its work in a market where a single oversight can lead to severe regulatory consequences. Look at your own practice. Evaluate where the friction exists between the policies dictated by your firm's governance and the realities you face during engagement execution. The goal is to move beyond reacting to failures. By building a system that learns from its own friction points, a firm can systematically reduce the frequency of audit failures across its entire portfolio.